If you're like me, there are TV shows you look back on from your childhood that you have fond memories of. And then there are cringe moments like this. Yes, I decided to quick change my shirt in the middle of video because I thought it would be funny. Actually, I had this video posted originally with a clip from the show Columbo, and because I schedule it well ahead of time, I was able to get the copyright claim for using about 30 seconds of their video. So let's describe what happens. Columbo's doing a murder investigation. A 14-year-old girl walks in and says, "I know how the person was killed," and goes through her explanation. Now Columbo says, "Well, I already did listen to that record, but that was a very good idea." And he goes on to talk to her and finally comes out and says, not only are you very intelligent, but you're also a very beautiful young girl. And she turns around with this almost weird, creepy smile on her face and says, that's the first time anybody's appreciated me for my body instead of my mind. And all I can say is, ew. This is from the TV show Columbo. It was part of the NBC mystery series back in the 70s, 80s, even going into the 90s. I think they did last episode maybe in like 2003. This one was entitled Bye Bye Sky High IQ. Now let's talk about why this is so cringy and why we all know something like this would not be filmed if this show were made today, and it shouldn't be. So the murder in this show takes place in a pseudo-Mensa society type of place, and everyone there is a genius level IQ. The little girl in this is supposed to be 14 years old. Now, there are a couple of real problems that I have with this scene as a dad, and let's face it, you should probably have a problem with it too. But let's talk about this. Now first, you've got this gentleman, which Columbo is basically a harmless character, but he does a lot of stupid things when you go back and rewatch the shows that are not really appropriate when we look at it in context of the fact that things have changed for the good. In this case, and in the case of several other shows I've watched, Columbo's sitting down and talking to a little girl by himself, talking to this young lady by herself in a room. It's not really appropriate. No one in any situation would think that it's inappropriate for an older gentleman to be sitting down talking to a young lady like this in a room who's not their own child. Now, the worst part of this and the cringiest thing, I have to question the writer's sanity, and saying, oh, well, it was the 70s, that doesn't even cut it. This type of interaction, even back then, would have probably been thought of as inappropriate. I know my old man, if it would have been with my sister, he probably would have knocked the guy out because it's just not appropriate. So, you've got this older dude talking to a 14-year-old child and telling her she's pretty. And then the response from this 14-year-old saying, "Thank you, all excited because it's the first time anybody's ever appreciated her for her body instead of her mind." Oh my fucking God. So let's just be honest. Something like this would probably never be filmed in the modern day. Because, number one, even in real life, people know that it's inappropriate to be talking to a young lady like this as an older gentleman by yourself. You have the possibility of allegations being made, even if nothing happened, or the real possibility of something that shouldn't happen happening. So there's always going to be someone else in the room with them. As for the exchange, there is no question that this is sexist, stupid, just totally ignorant dialogue. So back then, guys thought it was appropriate to say you'd be prettier if you smiled, or, make some type of comment about a woman's looks. Now we kind of come to our senses, unless you're still a troglodyte, we don't approach members of the opposite sex in this manner because we know it's wholly inappropriate and wholly stupid and even sexist to do. So this exchange, it just, as a parent, as a guy, I just cringed. And my wife I could even hear her go, because, come on, this should have never been filmed. And I really don't care about the time frame. It just shouldn't have been filmed this way. I'm sure somebody thought that this was a wonderful idea for somebody to point out that this smart young lady was also attractive, but it's not really necessary to be said, and it's not appropriate to be said to a child. That is not something that should be happening on TV. And I've seen other episodes of this show, Columbo sitting down on a park bench next to a little girl, a little child, and just talking to them. Nobody. You can't tell me that nowadays, even if you're in the park and you see some little girl sitting there and you see some older dude sit down in a trench coat next to a little girl and just start talking to him, you're not going to walk over and say to the kid, "Do you know this person? Is everything okay?" And the thing is, you've got a whole park full of people in these scenes where everybody's just going about their business and nobody cares that a potential pervert is sitting down next to a child. It's just insane. It is absolutely insane. Yes, we have more awareness now because people actually are starting to give a shit about this kind of stuff, but I don't know. It just should never have been filmed. It shouldn't have been put forth as being okay, and it's not okay. And if you think it's okay, there might be something wrong with you, let's be honest. Anyway, that's going to be it for the day. If you have any comments, or let's say you've seen something that back in the day you watched and you didn't really think about it, but now when you rewatch it, you really feel that cringe reaction coming up in your gut, let me know down below. Unfortunately, this is just one of those things. Our memories from early childhood of these shows are how awesome they were, and then you sit down and rewatch them. And while this is still, like Columbo is still a good show, it's fun to watch, there are things in the episodes, in some of them, that you're like, what the fuck were they thinking? That's it. Have an awesome day. If you like the content, remember to like and subscribe down below. Hit that little bell to be notified when we have more videos coming out. We'll catch you next time.